And at number 10, we have Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase has had so many bad interactions with people over the years, we truly just do not have the time to name them all. One story came from comedian Rob Huebel, who was so excited to meet the star. However, when Huebel approached him and tried to talk to Chevy Chase responded by slapping him in the face, then saying, quote, "Can't you see I'm talking to someone, kid?" Excuse me, what? Slapping someone because they tried to talk to you? Chevy is also the only former SNL cast member that is banned from the show because he slapped cast member Cherry O'Terry while he was guest hosting in 1997. He was also known at SNL for being very insensitive with his jokes, basically insulting anyone and everyone. According to the book Saturday Night, A Backstage History of Saturday Night Live, Chevy was a, quote, viciously effective put-down artist, the sort who could find the one thing somebody was sensitive about, a pimple on the nose, perhaps. Definitely not the vibe I was picking up from watching his movies. And at number 9, James Corden. Late night host James Corden seems like a sweetheart on TV, and he's beloved by many around the world because of this. But his reputation off camera is quite the opposite. And he's actually known to be awful to staff on set and even fans too. His reputation has gotten so bad that when he did a Reddit AMA back in 2019, tons of people used the thread to share their terrible interactions with Corden. One user reminded everyone about the time that Corden showed up to a private Writers Guild meeting to advocate for lower pay for TV writers, even though they're known for being paid pretty low wages already. Another spoke about how they saw the movie A League of Their Own being filmed, and during the filming they saw Corden throw multiple tantrums over minor things. The last person said that they had tea on all the late night hosts, including Corden, saying that James Corden is known as an among writers and Jimmy Fallon is an alcoholic. However, Jimmy Kimmel is actually a good guy apparently, according to this Reddit user. All in all, it seems that Corden's a nice guy act is all fake. And at number 8, Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts is another actress who has a pretty good reputation in the media. However, tons of people on Reddit expose that she's actually mean in real life. One of the commenters claimed that they had worked with her on a photo shoot, and apparently the whole time she was basically screaming at everyone. And apparently it's a well-known thing that when cameras are not rolling, she is terrible on set. Another popular rumor is that the cast of the set of the movie Hook hated her so much her nickname was, quote, Tinkerhell. However, to her credit, she had just ended her engagement with fellow actor Kiefer Sutherland after learning that he was cheating on her. Apparently, Roberts decided to not give herself a break after the split and started filming Hook days later. And even though there were rumors that director Steven Spielberg hated working with her on that movie, he also came to her defense when asked about her behavior. He said, quote, Julia probably went through the most trying times of her life, and it was simply bad timing for all of us that she happened to start on Hook at that low point. And at number 7, Mike Myers. This one breaks my heart, but the comedy legend is actually really terrible in real life. He's known for being mean to colleagues, fans, and his personal assistants. In an interview with the AV Club, Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat co-star Amy Hill shed some light on how bad he can be on set. Apparently he hired an assistant, and their entire job was to follow him around all day and feed him chocolate from a Tupperware container when he wanted it. She also exposed that he was a diva, making everyone wait around for him, as well as micromanaging everyone on set. The director of Wayne's World, Penelope Spheris, is another colleague that had some choice words to say about Myers. She called him, quote, emotionally needy, and saying that he, quote, got more difficult as the shoot went along. And at number 6, Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock is another star that has shocked people with just how mean she can be in real life. When fans have had the chance to meet her in real life, they might be expecting to see warm characters like her role in The Blind Side. But that's not the case. A former fan named Denise Codes told Star Magazine in 2012 about a run-in with Bullock. Apparently her and her husband, who is a veteran in a wheelchair, were out for a walk, and the couple ran into her during a filming break. Apparently the couple asked for an autograph, but things did not go well. Denise said, quote, Sandra was so rude. She covered her face and yelled. He just wanted an autograph, and she actually yelled at him. Now I understand not having the time to greet fans and how annoying it probably is to be hounded, but like a single wheelchair-bound veteran and his wife, in what world is their polite request for an autograph warrant a yelling match? You know, we don't know the full story, but that one's pretty bad. Halfway number 5, Jon Hamm. So this one is extra juicy because it involves one celebrity calling out another. In this case, Kathy Griffin called out Jon Hamm for being rude to her at a party. In her memoir, comedian Kathy Griffin shared a story about Jon Hamm confronting her at a party, rudely asking her who invited her. He even went on to make comments about her, quote, failed career and mocked her age. At the dinner, she was speaking with Jack Nicholson when Hamm came up to her and asked her, quote, what are you doing here? Then she replied, quote, "I earned my seat at the table. What are you doing here?" Kathy said that John continued to get drunk as she was discussing Rupert Murdoch with Jack, where she continued saying, quote, "Hammy picks that moment to start whispering boozy yammering into my ear. First it was him saying, 'You know your Emmy isn't a real Emmy.' I let that one go, but he whispered, 'You're so old.'" And Kathy admitted it was not only the rude comments that pissed her off, but the fact that he was interrupting some precious time alone with Jack Nicholson. And honestly, I just have no idea how Jon Hamm could make those comments and not think that Kathy Griffin was gonna blast him for it. And at number 4, Katherine Zeta-Jones. Katherine Zeta-Jones gained a reputation as a mean girl after it was revealed that she made some questionable comments to a young fan. Allegedly, when an 8-year-old fan told Zeta-Jones that she wanted to become an actress, the fan was left completely devastated. The girl recalled the awkward moment years later, saying, quote, "She turned to me, looked up and down and said, quote, 'You're pretty enough, I suppose,' then went back to her conversation. I went from feeling at ease in the world to constantly thinking about how everyone was judging me on my appearance." But that's not the only comment that has gotten Zeta-Jones backlash. In one interview with The Mirror, she said, quote, "I'm sick of being humbled. I really am. Sorry I'm rich. Sorry I'm married to a movie star. Sorry I'm not so bad looking." And based on those comments, I'm definitely sensing some mean girl energy. And at number 3, Katherine Heigl. Katherine Heigl quickly became one of Hollywood's most beloved stars, but she ended up earning herself a bad reputation just as fast. She first became a household name on the show Grey's Anatomy, but she burned bridges with the show in 2008 when she actually pulled her name out of contention for an Emmy Award after being nominated. Heigl said in a statement, quote, "I did not feel that I was given the material this season to warrant an Emmy nomination, and in an effort to maintain the integrity of the Academy organization, I withdrew my name from contention." But of course, fans of the show, as well as creator and writer Shonda Rhimes, were not pleased, and quickly found a reason to write Heigl off the show. Heigl got some more bad press after she decided to badmouth one of her own movies, Knocked Up, in a 2007 cover interview with Vanity Fair. After a string of bad PR, she was essentially blacklisted from Hollywood. And at number 2, Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg earned a bad reputation after he was interviewed by journalist Romina Puga and came off very rude, belittling her throughout. During their conversation, Eisenberg made tons of digs at Puga, like making fun of her interview style, joking that she had questions written on her hand, and joking that she was on his time when she joked that he should hurry up. During the interview, it seemed like there was a potential their banter was actually playful flirting, but Puga revealed later that she was hurt by the interview and his belittling comments, while Eisenberg felt that she found his dry humor amusing. Eisenberg said after, quote, "I remember she was laughing. Even after she left, I said to people in the room, 'What a relief.' Like that was the most funny, interesting interview I'd had all day." So his rudeness could just be summed up to miscommunication. And at number 1, Ellen DeGeneres. Of course, I could not make this list without including the current queen of mean, Ellen. Ellen's fall from niceness all started when one of DeGeneres' former employees, Kevin T. Porter, tweeted out that Ellen was, quote, "notoriously one of the meanest people alive." And the replies of the tweet shared tons of negative interactions that people had with Ellen over the years. This sparked a whole wave of exposing, and not only of Ellen, but her show as well. And it was revealed that her show had a toxic work environment, and her staff were verbally berated constantly. There were even reports of inappropriate conduct by high-level producers of the show. And at number 10, we have Hilary Duff. Hilary Duff is probably one of the most beloved Disney Channel actors ever, but she has a bit of a mean side to her. In 2018, Hilary got into a bit of a scandal as people called her out for bullying her neighbor. The story here was that Hilary was ranting online about how much that she hated her neighbor. Relatable. Even calling out their bad habits like smoking in the apartment and not taking the trash out properly. Duff even called the neighbor out for not paying their own rent, saying in one of her Instagram stories, quote, "We know your parents pay your rent. We know you've never worked a day in your life. It must be nice." And even though everyone can understand ranting about a neighbor, Duff crossed a major line when she posted the name and Instagram profile of the neighbor on her story, which is a massive privacy issue that made fans think Hilary was using her followers to hate on this person. Instagram even took down her videos because they violated the platform's terms. And at number 9, Armie Hammer. So I don't want any of you guys to think that I'm putting the allegations against Armie Hammer lightly, because this man is obviously a lot more than just mean. Over the past few months, serious allegations have come forward against Hammer, including the fact that he had dangerous and harmful fantasies that he would play out while sleeping with women. More recently, an allegation came out that Armie forced himself on a woman, and he might even be responsible for a number of more heinous crimes. Because of these allegations, Armie has been dropped from practically all projects that he had signed on to be a part of. Currently, Armie is denying all allegations, but the evidence against him is mounting. In at number 8, Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence is one of the few celebrities who's actually admitted to being mean, and on purpose. Jennifer says this is a way to defend herself against fans and paparazzi who might want too much from her and make them leave her alone. In an interview with Variety, she said, quote, "I just generally, once I enter a public place, I become incredibly rude. That's kind of like my only way of defending myself." Even adding that if she sees a fan coming to her table, she'll start wagging her finger and make a mean face. She also apparently bluntly responds no when people ask her for selfies. But obviously this behavior is gonna make you lose some fans, which has happened to Jennifer as a result of these actions. And at number 7, Dove Cameron. Dove Cameron is a Disney star who is beloved by many for her kind personality. However, many fans were shocked to learn that she definitely has a mean side. This all started when a fan tweeted out saying how their goal in life was to have Dove notice her. And well, that goal was achieved, but not in the way that she hoped. Dove ended up replying savagely to that fan, saying, quote, "That's a very small and unimportant life goal. And maybe if I notice you, you'll realize how unfulfilling this is and turn your phone off because celebrities don't matter. Go find yourself in nature and create your own life philosophy. Aim higher, babe." And obviously a statement like this can be interpreted in a lot of ways. It can be implied here that Dove just wanted the fan to realize a high from Dove wouldn't help them get, anywhere in life, and to stop putting so much meaning on it. But obviously the way Dove said this was really harsh, and it was somewhat aggressive for no reason. And at number 6, Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon is basically America's sweetheart, seemingly on and off screen. But there have been a few incidents that have made people think twice about her nice girl persona, like when she was arrested for a DUI in 2013. Her and her husband were pulled over by an officer, and Reese's husband was given a DUI charge. But then in an effort to fight the charges, and I'm guessing intimidate the officer into letting him go, Reese pulled the "Do you know who I am" card, which is just so cringy when you actually hear it happen in real life. But the fact that she was getting in the officer's face while he was arresting her husband got her arrested for disorderly conduct. And you might be wondering how we know so much about that arrest. Well, the whole incident was actually caught on camera, and America could see Reese get up in arms with law enforcement for 6 minutes straight. Halfway number 5, Alec Baldwin. Honestly, none of you guys should be shocked by seeing Alec Baldwin on this list, because he makes his mean persona well known, especially the paparazzi. He also has a notorious short temper. One of his earliest scandals happened in 1995, where he was placed under a citizen's arrest after punching a cameraman in the face. The altercation happened because a photographer was trying to take a picture of his new daughter, so a lot of people actually took Alec's side with this one. And if this aggression was a one-off, that would be one thing, but unfortunately this isn't the case with Alec. Later on in 2007, he was in the news again for berating his teenage daughter Ireland on a phone call, calling her a selfish little pig, among many other harsh things, just because she didn't pick up the call. Lastly, he was kicked off an American Airlines flight in 2011 after getting aggressive because he was asked to turn off his phone. And honestly, I'm sure there are so much more, but these are just the first few that I could find. In at number 4, Adam Levine. Since Adam Levine has been a host on The Voice, many fans are seeing his true colors, and they aren't pretty. Though Adam has cleaned up his act a bit in recent years after settling down, there was a time where he wasn't a nice guy. In the past, Adam has trash-talked a lot of his exes, making for some pretty toxic energy. And of course, we have to mention his feuding with co-stars of The Voice like Christina Aguilera and Miley Cyrus. It seems his co-host Blake Shelton also had problems with him too, as Blake made a comment on a recent episode of the show where Levine is no longer a host, saying, quote, "I want you to look just for a second at this coaching panel. Take a note at who's missing and who's in that chair." Now, I'm not saying that Kelly Clarkson got Adam fired, but he's gone and she's sitting there, okay? Adam Levine has also been accused of being a homewrecker because he had an alleged affair with Jessica Simpson, but that's still just speculation. Lastly, he said in the past that he, quote, "didn't give autographs to ugly chicks." And I just really can't look at him the same way now. And at number 3, Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan must be really rude because he was called out by someone who's been called mean a lot in the past. James Cordon. Basically, on Cordon's show, during his Fill Your Guts or Spill Your Guts segment, he had Khloe Kardashian on, and she asked Cordon who was the rudest celebrity that he had ever met. And after a lot of debating, he blurted out, Pierce Brosnan, as Pierce shoved him at a U2 concert. Cordon said, quote, "Pierce Brosnan, I don't think he's a rude man, he just happened to be to me. I went to see U2 and I was there with my friend Lewis and his wife and my wife." Cordon went on to say that Pierce was with some friends who left halfway through, but after they had been gone for a while, Cordon and his wife moved into the spot to get closer. Adding, quote, "So me and my wife moved into this area and literally I've never felt anything like it. This arm went on here and just pushed me out of the way. And I looked at him and he didn't even glance at me and he just moved back into his area." So I guess here Cordon was really salty that Brosnan forcefully took his seat back. On the one hand, I can see why Brosnan was a bit rude, as he probably thought Cordon was trying to steal his seat, but obviously he could have handled it with, words, not actions. In at number 2, Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer is another person who has been in some unsavory encounters with fans. One time that got a lot of press was in New York City, when an Upper West Side Equinox asked her to present her membership card, which is standard practice at the upscale fitness club. But she refused, claiming that since she was so famous and everyone knew who she was, she didn't need to check in. One source told Page 6, quote, "She felt entitled to just walk in. She didn't want to show her key fob and wanted to be able to go in and not be questioned." The source continued, quote, "It was clear that Amy wanted to go in under the radar and not even stop to have the desk clerk look up her account on the computer." So we can chalk this one up to a classic case of celebrities being entitled, I guess. And finally, number 1, Dan Aykroyd. So Dan is another person who is not at all what they seem to be on screen, with an overwhelming consensus that he's really awful in real life. He currently lives in a small suburb of Ontario, and many residents have shared their experiences living in the same place as Aykroyd online. Many residents say that Aykroyd travels with a group of bodyguards that are notorious for being rude and intimidating. One story in particular said, quote, "We were enjoying a post-bar snack at a pita pit in Kingston when Dan Aykroyd and his entourage cut in front of a large line of people. Dan ordered a few pitas and slapped down a $100 bill. When the cashier told him that they didn't accept $100 or $50 bills, he became very enraged and yelled that he, quote, owned this town. He stormed out of the store swearing and making a scene. Apparently one of the people there called him out on his behavior, thankfully, but this definitely doesn't seem like a one-time thing." In at number 10, Jesse James. Actor Jesse James has somewhat of a reputation for being mean towards his partners in relationships. In 2010, it was revealed that while he was married to Sandra Bullock, he cheated on her with multiple partners. To make things worse, the cheating happened while the couple was trying to adopt a child. And of course, after a betrayal like that, Bullock divorced him in June of 2010. And after this, he decided to couple up with one of the women that he cheated with while married, Kat Von D. The two ended up getting engaged and were headed for marriage until it was exposed that he was cheating on her too. I guess Kat should have listened to that old saying, how you get him is how you lose him. Or once a cheater, always a cheater. Both good sayings. In at number 9, Gwyneth Paltrow. It should come as no surprise that Gwyneth Paltrow isn't very nice, because almost everything she does is surrounding being better than other people. Like her diet, which does not include coffee, alcohol, dairy, eggs, sugar, corn, shellfish, fish, wheat, meat, and soy. I literally don't know what else there is to eat other than just vegetables. She also touts insane diet and lifestyle rituals that are just completely out of reach for the average person. And she can be pretty rude at restaurants. While in London, she went to a Michelin star restaurant and insulted the chef by saying, quote, "I can't eat this crap. Let's just go to my suite and order room service." Also, there's this rumor that she stole the lead role in Shakespeare in Love from her ex-BFF, Winona Ryder, because she stole the script from their joint apartment. And if that's true, that is so shady. In at number 8, Edward Norton. Edward Norton has a reputation for being really rude, and honestly, I'm not too surprised. Apparently, his bad attitude on set is the reason why Marvel cut him as the Hulk in the Avengers. The president of Marvel Studios told Hitflix.com that Norton wasn't a team player, and that the studio was, quote, looking for an actor willing to work side by side with a star-studded cast. I guess that means he either got intimidated with the stars or pissed them off so much that they requested he be cut. In the interview, the Marvel exec made sure to confirm that money was not the issue here, literally just his attitude. In at number 7, Zoe Deschanel. Zoe Deschanel seems like a quirky sweetheart in her movies, but people in the industry think of her completely differently. Her castmates over the years have called her words like nasty, moody, and unhappy. So clearly not what most people are expecting. Apparently her worst behavior on set is from bad scheduling. Anyone in showbiz knows that filming pretty much always goes over time, but apparently Zoe would get really bratty when this happened. And instead of doing her best work to get things done sooner, she would just throw a fit, stop shooting, and sometimes even leave the set before things were finished. This behavior could be why she isn't in many projects anymore. And at number 6, Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard seems pretty nice on screen, but he's committed a lot of horrible crimes in his past in real life. In 2001, he hit his first wife, Lori McComas, because apparently she was speaking to him too strongly. Then in 2005, he hit his second wife, Michelle Gent. But sadly, this was not his only incident with that wife. In 2010, Gent claimed that Howard threw her across a hotel room and also threatened to throw her over the railing. Apparently, his terrible behavior also shows up on set and is the reason that he was cut from Iron Man. Apparently, he demanded more money from the franchise, but left when he couldn't get it. He blamed Robert Downey Jr. for years after, even though Downey Jr. had actually advocated for equal pay for everyone on the Avengers set. So it really didn't add up. Halfway at number 5, Lucille Ball. Legendary actor Lucille Ball was a lot meaner in real life than you probably expected from seeing her work on screen. Many of her characters were funny and down to earth, however, she was anything but. Allegedly, the moment camera stopped rolling, her light personality just disappeared, and she was completely rude to anyone on set who also wasn't a star. One of the worst instances of this is a story from when she was on an airplane. Allegedly, while the flight attendant was talking to her, the assistant replied, quote, "I'm sorry, Miss Ball doesn't speak to the help." Richard Burton also trashed her in his diaries, where he wrote, quote, "She's a monster of staggering charmlessness and monumental lack of humor. She's a tired old woman that lives entirely on that weekly show, which she's been doing and successfully doing for 19 years. In at number 4, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf is a child star that I've been watching ever since I was a preteen, and even though he was known for being goofy and lovable in his child stardom days, in real life he's completely different. Shia is known for being pretty intense in real life, and his violent attitude has caused him to get in trouble with the law on multiple occasions. Shia is also a thief and was accused of plagiarizing an entire screenplay. Basically, he copied the entire screenplay of Daniel Clowes and just changed the name, hoping nobody would notice. But thankfully, people did notice. More recently, Shia is also being sued by his ex-partner, FKA Twigs, for harmful and toxic behavior. After FKA Twigs came forward, other women, including Sia, backed up the claims. In at number 3, Teri Hatcher. This one breaks my heart because I'm a huge fan of Desperate Housewives, but apparently on set she was the mean girl, and all the leading ladies got along except for Hatcher. During the filming of Desperate Housewives, she was known for being an issue on set. One of the co-stars told the creator of Desperate Housewives that she was the meanest woman in the world. She was not only a pain on the show, but practically all of her projects, and she now has a reputation for a bad attitude. Back when she was filming Tomorrow Never Dies, co-star Pierce Brosnan called her out for never being on time. I guess Teri really must have been a phenomenal actress to have played the lovable Susan Myers so well. Let me know below if you like Desperate Housewives. That is one of my all-time favorite shows. And at number 2, Bruce Willis. A lot of people probably don't expect Bruce Willis to be a nice guy, but they also don't expect him to be as mean as he actually is. A lot of his fellow actors have refused to work with him, although not many of them will expose why. Kevin Smith was one of the few that did, and claimed that working with Willis was a, quote, soul-crushing experience. Then adding, quote, "It was difficult. I've never been involved in a situation like that where one component is not in the box at all." And I think we can interpret that to mean that he's not a team player and plays by his own rules when working. One example of this is he apparently refused to pose for promotional photos for one of his movies, leaving the crew scrambling to find a replacement. And finally at number 1, Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz is so unapproachable to fans that she was actually ranked one of the worst people ever to ask for an autograph or picture. Apparently, instead of just saying no like anybody else, she lectures fans on why asking for autographs is stupid and an invasion of privacy. People also dislike her because of this strange story from a Drew Barrymore party. Apparently at the party, Diaz spent the whole time outside smoking, but she didn't share any cigarettes when people asked, and didn't really talk to anyone else at the party. And obviously not sharing a cigarette isn't the worst thing ever, but it definitely isn't friendly.